Prameshwari, Vishvanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhara, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. So we are reading today from Nectar of Instruction Updeshamrita, verse number 6. This is Shri Prabhupada in Radha temple in Vrindavan Dham. So just to give a summary, the first 7 verses of Nectar of Instruction are dealing with the Vedahi Sadhana Bhakti. In the preface, the goal of Krishna consciousness and the means of attaining it is described. Then text number 1 talks about controlling the 6 urges. 2 talks about obstacles to devotional service. Verse number 3 talks about principles that aid in devotional service. Verse number 4 is 6 loving exchanges between the devotees. What we studied the other day. Text 5 is association with the devotees according to the level of advancement. Today, we will read how to associate with a pure devotee. Text 6 describes how we should associate with devotees, especially with spiritual master who is understood to be transcendently situated. So there are some do's and don'ts. So this is a regulation, remember. So we are getting regulated here. Trishte sabhava janitervapuschascha dosher na prakartatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyet gangamba bhasam na khalo udbudha fera pankher brahma dravatam apagachati niradharme. Translation by Sharabhat ki jai. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfection may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So there are a couple of things being taught here. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Okay. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with bad complexion, deformed body, or a disease or infirm body. Then third one is, according to ordinary vision, such imperfection may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. So let's go to the Subhodhini, and then we'll quickly come back here. So again, I'm talking about some of the verses, prominent subject matter taught in this verse. So, Drishte Sabhava Janiter Vapuscha Dosher. From an ordinary vision, a devotee might have some defects like in their nature, like harshness, lethargy, or body, like deformed body, ugly body, or diseased body, infirmity, or old age. Na prakartam iha bhakta janasya pashyet. One should not see a pure devotee from such a materialistic point of view. How Gangam bhasam na khalo budbudha fena pankir. The Ganges river might sometimes contain bubbles, foam, or mud in the monsoon. Brahma dravatvam apagachati nira dharme. But the Ganges water is always transcendental and is never polluted. So what we see is the pollution or the bubbles or the mud, but The Ganges water never gets affected by this. It's the same like Guru Vrindavan Dham, and it may be like, oh, there is so much noise pollution, so much, so many people, so much this, so much that, so hot. But actually, the dham never gets impacted by these things. So we need to develop this vision to see a pure devotee or a pure dham. So pure consciousness, the consciousness, material consciousness is what is material consciousness, which aims for material enjoyment. That's it. Is the nutshell definition of a material consciousness. So material consciousness is a consciousness that aims for material enjoyment. Krishna consciousness is that which aims to serve Krishna. So activity of the soul is Shuddha Bhakti or Abhyabhicharini Bhakti, pure unalloyed loving service to Krishna, which is not impacted by the three modes of material nature and is performed in liberated condition by a fully surrendered soul. So pure devotional service is not possible for a conditioned soul. So if we are looking at the pure devotee, then we need to become like one, like, or at least become a devotee, if not a pure devotee. These are the perceiving a pure devotee, offensive perception or offensive dealings with pure devotees. These are some of the items that one should not try to dwell on in a pure devotee. If somebody has a bodily, if a pure devotee's body has a defect or the birth is low, usually we talk about Haridas Thakur there's no information about his birth parents, but it is said that he was born in Fulia, place in Bangladesh, and to a Mohammedan family. So it's like low birth. So he was not allowed in Jagannath Puri. You see, but Lord Jagannath or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come and visit him. So low birth, by his own example of dealing with a pure devotee, Krishna taught us that don't look at that. It's not irrelevant because the pure devotee is not identifying with the body. Material vision, like how what is their behavior or how are they dealing. Accidental mistakes of a pure devotee. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that what is the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita? I heard this from Swami Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj. What is the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita? Anyone knows? Most important verse in Bhagavad Gita.
Api chet suduracharo
Yeah, you heard the last
bhajate.
one. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So yeah, apichet sadurachara bhajte mam bhag. So a devotee accidentally who falls down should not be considered fallen if they are properly situated. So accidental mistakes cannot shake the position of a pure devotee. If it is something which is happening over and over again and again consciously, then that's different. Envying their exalted position, criticism, advising or correcting disciplinary action. So overlook the bodily defect in the pure devotee because the pure devotee's position is beyond the body. We can only, it is actually for us, not for a pure devotee, because a pure devotee remains a pure devotee. We have example of like Haridas Thakur, they criticized him for chanting Hare Krishna after having taken birth in Mohammedan family. But the problem is who was impacted? Was Haridas Thakur impacted or the people who were criticizing him lost the chance to associate with him? Who was impacted? Who was impacted?
The people, Mataji.
Correct. So it is for us. So Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is giving this instruction for us so that we can advance in our Krishna consciousness effortlessly. Okay. And what do we see then? If we don't look at the low birth, if we don't look at the bodily condition, if we don't look at the accidental mistakes, if we don't look at all these things, then what do we see? We look at the main business. And the main business of a pure devotee is pure devotional service to Krishna. Okay, so they are not identifying. And if we look at the bodily defect and if we criticize them around the world, then this offense is compared to a hatimata or a mad elephant offense. So also this is very important. We can go back and read this verse in Bhagavad Gita, Apichatsurachara Vashtema Ananya Bhag, where the accidental fall down is not to be taken into consideration. We have so many examples from the Shastra, like Ajamil is an accidental fall down. Prabhupada writes in one of the purports in first chapter that it was accident. He was a young man. He couldn't control himself, so he had to succumb to his lower desires. It was accidental. But when Yamdutas, when he chanted Hare Krishna or Narayan, sorry, at the most vulnerable time of his life, in the most pure manner, he was forgiven. But we go on looking at how can he be forgiven. We put a case against all that thing. And we do. And that's why Vishnu Dutas are having this conversation with Yam Dutas to teach us that that is irrelevant. Or other accidental fall down is Jagai Matai. You see, after how is it accidental? Because after being rectified, they don't go back to the same activities ever again. That is what is definition of an accident. And they didn't know. Or birth, in a lower birth, or even a birth from a Goswami family. The Goswami title is not hereditary or birthright. It is a monopoly of a pure devotee who can control their senses and not controlled by their senses. And also the birth of a devotee in another places, like when Prabhupada was giving classes of Nectar of Devotion, here Prabhupada's series in Rupa Goswami Samadhi in Vrindavan, he talks very strongly so many times that how the devotees who have come from outside countries are being looked down upon by the devotees at that place because of their not having the body from that place. So that's a very narrow vision. Look at the main business. Okay, there's no, and then jealousy, there's no room for jealousy, which is meant for we're not envious, because Krishna can provide for each and every one of us. If we are serious in our devotional service, he will give us the intelligence by which we can come to him, right? Krishna says in 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. I give the intelligence by which one can come to me. So the title of Prabhupada gives example of this Goswami title. Goswami title, whether attained by birth in Goswami family or avoided, should not make one proud or jealous. As soon as one becomes proud or envious, one falls down. Material vision, don't see the activities of pure devotee from material point of view. Especially for the neophyte, this is injurious. So understand the main business, how they are engaged. We can see that because Prabhupada was criticized so many times. If you hear Prabhupada's press conferences and everything, he again and again asked that you're not earning, you're not going to jobs, you're not running factories, then how are you living so comfortably? How do you have so many cars? How are you traveling in planes? These are all like expressions of criticism, expression of material vision. So how do we differentiate who is a Kanishta, who is a Madhyama, and who is a Uttama, depending on one's spiritual development? And what do you do if one recognizes that one is a superior devotee and one is a Madhyama or a Kanishta? One should take instructions from a Uttama Adhikari. Take instruction. Because bhakti is not a birthright of only certain section of people. Bhakti is for everyone. It is like sun. Sun is not restricting itself only to certain sect of people. It is for everybody. So unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. This is for sure. If somebody is spreading Krishna consciousness far and wide, that means that they have attained the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for whatever reason, but they have. And of course, criticism of a devotee. We have so many examples from Chaitanya Chaitamrita. What is his name? Gopal Chapala? Gopal Chapala, who criticized Shiva's Thakur. Or what is the name of that Ishvara Puri's god brother who criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he saw so many ants in his hut and said that this sannyasi is eating too many sweets. What is his name? I'm forgetting the name. Anyone remember? The Ishvara Puri's god brother. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, god brother. Anyone remember? I think we don't remember. That's why. Anyway, so you see, we have so many examples that they were criticized. So, and then what was the result? That they couldn't chant Hare Krishna. So, not being able to chant Hare Krishna is a big loss in the life of a devotee. So, don't try to advise or discipline a pure devotee unless and until a pure devotee is asking for specific advice. And when Guru Maharaj came and he was recovering from ill health few years ago, he stayed in my house for 2 weeks, and he wanted me to give him advice about some health issue. I was hesitating. So he said that he wants me to advise him. I cannot be like withholding because Swami's instruction. So it's like also revealing that unless and until asked, don't, go around showing the propaganda of one's own experience or knowledge in the material world. Doesn't stand there. Okay, understanding a devotee's glory. So, pure devotees are not conditioned soul. They do not fall into bad association or commit offenses to the holy name. How can we recognize who's a devotee? We have to become one. So, Kanishta cannot distinguish between devotee and non-devotee. Kanishta cannot. But the Madhyama can. Okay, so what is the differentiating factor? Activities. Who's doing what? Now, how do we know that pure devotee is who and a neophyte devotee is who? Is a very general definition given. Advanced Vaishnava is always situated as guru and neophyte is always as a disciple. So unless and until, one needs to consider themselves always as a disciple in front of a pure devotee. So the guru, there's a warning for the guru as well by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should a guru be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. Caution is if one who has made some progress in bhakti considers themselves a devotee and begins engaging in material misconduct, they will certainly fall from the path of bhakti. By coming into contact with such person, one's bhakti is destroyed. So one can fall down at any position. But if somebody takes advantage of one's position in the devotional service and then starts conducting abominable things, then that bhakti path is suddenly lost, or for the time being it is lost. And one must avoid association with that particular devotee who has lost their own path. So what it comes down is one needs to protect our own bhakti. We need to safeguard our own bhakti, and these instructions are given for us, not for, making us a very morally sound person in the society, but to safeguard our bhakti from getting lost again in this particular life. Okay, so I'll quickly go over the slides. So we discussed the verse. There are three things happening in this verse. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, body born with a bad complexion, deformed body, diseased body, infirm body. 3. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. So this instruction talks about what is Shuddha Bhakti, how Lord's devotee should not be seen, Vaishnava Aparad, consequences, what constitutes an Aparad, avoiding Aparad, overcoming consequences. Sorry. Okay, these are things discussed. Shuddha Bhakti definition is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The same verse is repeated in Nectar of Devotion. Anabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Adi Anavritam Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. So in this Krishna conscious movement, so we will study this verse in a bit more detail in Nectar of Devotion. I think we have also touched upon this verse previously. So in this Krishna consciousness movement, one's consciousness must be changed. If consciousness is aimed towards material enjoyment, it is material consciousness. If it is aimed towards serving Krishna, it is Krishna consciousness. One can check within themselves and see where is my consciousness flowing. So surrendered soul always serves Krishna without material consideration. Anyabhilashita shunyam, jnana karma adi anavritam, unalloyed devotional service, which is transcendental to the activities of the body and mind, such as gyan and karma, is called pure bhakti or pure devotional service. One actually engages in unalloyed, uncontaminated devotional service when one is already liberated. Sa gunan samatityatan. It is not possible. This is the scripture saying, I'm not saying. For a person who is conditioned and be also engaged in pure devotional service. Vaishnava Prad, which is touched upon here, is Hati Mata, to blossom the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Mad elephant offense. How we should not see the devotee. I'm just revising. Fault. Do not find fault. Krishna says this. Apitat Siduracharo Bhajte Mam Ananyabhak Sadhureva Samantavya Samyak Vyavasito Hi Saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So the point is he engaged in the devotional service right now? Or are we continuing with our patterns? That's the distinguishing factor. Whatever we have done in the past. I come across devotees who are like, oh, we came across Krishna consciousness so late in life. We're so old now. Oh, all my life, I did abominable activities. I did meat eating. I did intoxication. So, you see, we actually tend to self-flagellate or restrict our own growth by making these things very, very prominent and loud. But Krishna is not saying that. Look at it from the eyes of the Shastras. There's, okay, learn from it. Don't go back. But that doesn't mean that these things are going to prevent us from going forward. Nothing can prevent us from going forward to Krishna. Don't look at the family background. I gave example of Haridas Thakur. In actuality, there cannot be a family of Goswami based on material consideration, caste, or heredity. Goswami title is actually the monopoly of a pure devotee. Says no caste. So a Goswami title is not hereditary. What happens if one is trying to find fault in the Vaishnavas is very serious. Mahaprabhu has described this as Hati Mata or mad elephant offense, very obstructive and dangerous. Person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. So, yeah, so these are the examples. What is the name of this sannyasi? Can you look up like Ishwara Puri's god brother who would criticize Mahaprabhu because there were ants in his hut, and he would say that this sannyasi, look at him, he's secretly eating too many sweets. That's why there are so many ants.
Mataji, is it Ramchandra Puri?
Ramchandra Puri, thank you.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Ramchandra Puri, same person, would invite the devotees in his house or invite Mahaprabhu and would feed them sumptuously. Sumptuously, he would feed them. Sometimes to the point that the devotees will say that they can't have any more, and he would say, no, you just got started. So it looks like that he's serving them so nicely. But after they're done eating, he would go around the town propagating that the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat a lot, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eats a lot. So hearing this, Mahaprabhu cut his eating to half, which actually made everyone very disrotted. So, okay, so not like, okay, I'm serving somebody and also keeping an account of what they're doing. So how offense can happen? Criticism. We are surrounded, Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada saying, unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte God brothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply bring us to their platform and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. So don't look at the activities of pure devotee from a material point of view. Especially for a neophyte, considering pure devotee from materialistic view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. What is the advantage? One can gradually become purified themselves. Okay. Bodily defects of a devotee. We discussed about this. Or being envious of the devotees. There is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for Paramhansa who are completely free from jealousy. Paramhansa Nirmat Saranam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswami or has title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as one is jealous or envious, he falls down on the platform of Paramhansa. Gopal Chapala punished. Yeah, this is the link I put there of Shiva's Thakur, how he was disrespecting Shiva's Thakur by keeping the paraphernalia of worshipping Devi outside his house, which included sindoor, wine, and stuff like that in a plate. And when Shiva's Thakur opened the door in the morning and he saw all those things outside, Shiva's Thakur, instead of, regretting or getting angry, he actually started shouting in the neighborhood that, look, now my reality has been exposed. This is who I am. But of course, everybody knew in the neighborhood that that's not who Shiva Thakur is. So everyone, one person came and threw away everything, and the other person came and swept the ground. And the other person came and purified the ground. So like that, but Gopal Chapala was punished. He got leprosy and he was condemned and he was crying in pain. And then he begged Mahaprabhu that, please forgive me. And Mahaprabhu said, you have offended a pure devotee. You will not get Krishna name for millions and millions of years. So nothing happened to Shiva's Thakur, but he lost the chance. Don't look at the bodily defects of a devotee. What needs to be looked at is the main business of the pure devotee. Okay, and then we have all these like jealousy. This is another example of being enviousness. Ambrish Maharaj's pastime with Durvasa Muni. What temple is this? Yes, what temple is this? Anvya Mataji, we went there. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji. It's Shri
Yes,
Shri
Mataji.
Radha Madan Mohan.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is Madan Mohan temple. So different now, right? There's like so many.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Madan Mohan temple. So in Vrindavan Dham. So empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. Okay, somebody who is engaged in the service of Krishna incessantly is not ordinary. He's been empowered by Krishna himself to spread Krishna's name all over the world. But because we are ordinary, we look at everybody else as ordinary. Prabhupada talks about this phenomena as Atmavat Manyate Jagat. I look at the world as I am, not how the other person is. So it is also offensive to give advice or correct a spiritual master. Okay, don't try to find fault and fix others. Okay, any questions for now? Otherwise, I'll go to the questions for text 5 and 6. So understand how to associate with a pure devotee. These are the instructions of do's and don'ts. No questions. Okay, I'll go through, I'll read the questions. You let me know if anyone in the Prabhu.
No, Mataji. All good.
Okay. So text 5, please hear the question. If you don't know the answer, then you stop me. How should one deal with the devotee Kanishadikar who chants the holy name of the Lord? How should one deal with this person? Yes.
One should mentally honor the person but
Right.
not associate with him.
Yes. And of course, we know the 4 qualities of Madhyamadikar, 3 qualities of Uttamadikari. This verse, what is the name of Nityananda Vamsh? In Mayapur, is a cult which call themselves as a descendant of Nityananda Prabhu. I actually went, there is a devotee who's a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj who was worshipping the deity that Mother Sachi would worship. And when I went to that temple, I'm forgetting, I have to look at my photos again. Then they said that he's actually from Nityananda Vamsha, but he's a devotee, disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. So anyway, but here Prabhupada talks about Nityananda Vamsha, which is like, don't consider yourself as a descendant and it's birthright. Bhakti is your birthright only. No, bhakti is for everyone. Spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice from whom? Who should not? Who is not? Who he is not subjected to the advice from? From? Definitely from someone who's not their disciple, and also from a disciple in certain condition if it is not sought for. List some ways that Vaishnava Aparadh may occur. So you need to be able to answer this question.
Sorry, Mataji, can you repeat this part again? The spiritual master must not be subject to the advice from whom? I couldn't
You tell me.
understand.
You tell me.
What you said was that of those who are not their disciples and those who are not in the, that what I couldn't understand. The second part.
Yeah, so you see, Guru, it says here, must not be subjected to advice of a disciple, nor should a Guru be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. So both ways. Unless and until a spiritual master is specifically asking for an advice, don't give advice. Okay. Because there's this, I'll give you one example. Many years ago, there was one disciple of Prabhupada. He was saying, I heard him, he was from Paris, and Prabhupada had gone to Paris. And this is Prabhupada's first time in Paris. And Prabhupada had told him to go across a river. I don't remember the intricate details. I'm sorry, I don't know Paris. But Prabhupada had told him to go across the river to do some devotional work. And Prabhupada asked him, how are you going to go? So he said that he will take the ferry. That's how they travel in Paris. He will take the ferry and then he will go there. Prabhupada told him, I think you should take the bus, not the ferry. So he thought that Prabhupada is coming to Paris for the first time in his life. Maybe in India, where he comes from, everyone travels by bus. But what would Prabhupada know? So he actually did not take Prabhupada's advice. No, Prabhupada, no, in Paris, we travel by this way and it is very convenient and I've been doing it for so long. Prabhupada didn't say anything. What happened? He went in the ferry and there was a big storm and midway they had to return and everything was closed for the day. So he was like, I should have taken Prabhupada's advice because I looked at Prabhupada from material vision that what would he know of Paris? But actually, he actually knew more than I knew. And then there's another pastime I heard. I was hearing memories of Prabhupada a long time ago that I want to say it was Brahmananda Maharaj who was speaking. And again, Prabhupada disciple, that he had gotten Prabhupada dictating machine to dictate his lectures and translations. But there was no instructions attached to the machine. There was no manual. And Prabhupada was, and Brahmananda Maharaj thought himself to be, more intellectually sound because he saw Prabhupada coming from a small town in India with no proper educational background to be able to operate this machine. So he thought it was his responsibility to advise Prabhupada how to use this machine. But the minute he brought the machine, Prabhupada just knew how to use it. He just knew. He said Prabhupada just knew. Actually, Prabhupada knew more than he knew, he said. Says, okay, so that day I understood that don't look at Prabhupada from the materialistic point of vision because it is not going to because that's not who he is. Paramhansa. Okay, so if we actually follow these instructions, we will be able to actually see who is who, or what kind of devotee one is. I think I'll stop here, read about this